Yeah. So we shall discuss one more point here: bound state and starting state. Again, I'm just keeping this free particle concept here. After harmonic oscillator, he discussed free particle. Before getting into free particle, let me discuss this one, okay, bound state and scattering state. And let me discuss one more bound state problem. Whatever we have discussed, those are bound states actually. Particle in a box and harmonic oscillator. Those are bound state. Again, let me explain what is that one. And I'll get into, I hope you have done some basics of Fourier analysis, Fourier expansion. I'll get into Fourier transform, okay, because that is needed here to discuss this free particle concept. So tomorrow, initially, let me discuss Fourier transform, and then I'll get into this free particle concept. Now, look at here. He has given some examples here. So one possible potential, okay, v of x as a function of x, like this. It is going to infinity. Example is our simple harmonic oscillator. I mean, it was not like this. It was not like this, but it is going to infinity in both sides, isn't it? Simple harmonic potential half kx square. So this is one of the possible potential. Look at here. Now, whatever the energy you choose, look at here, energy should exceed minimum value of the potential, okay? Whatever the energy you choose, look at here. Suppose this is the energy of the particle. So now I can call these two as classical turning point, isn't it? Yesterday we discussed about that one. Am I right? x1, x2. We call them as classical turning point. Classically, particle cannot exist outside this region. Suppose particle exists outside this region, what would happen? Your potential energy is higher than the total energy, isn't it? Again, energy is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. Am I right? Kinetic energy is equal to energy minus E minus V, isn't it? So, if you take any point outside this region, look at here, your potential energy is higher than the total energy, then kinetic energy would be negative. That will never happen actually, classically. Is that okay? So that means classically, I call this one as classically allowed region. Allowed region. Is that okay? Classically forbidden region. These two are called as classical turning points. Okay. These two are called as classical turning points. Yeah, wait a second. Can you just play that video? Can you just play that video? Check out audio. Check out audio. Is that okay? Yeah. I call these two as classical turning point. Okay. I mean, because suppose if you have given this much energy, this is a little distracting. Suppose if you have given this much energy, look at here, particle will oscillate between these two. Okay, particle cannot go outside. Look at here. In this region, look at here. Suppose if you take your potential energy is less than total energy, kinetic energy is positive. These are allowed region classically. Is that okay? Now look at here. Classically, if you have given this much energy, particle cannot escape. isn't it? Particle should be bound between x1 and x2. It can move only between x1 and x2, isn't it? We call this one as classical bound state. Classical bound state. Classically, particle cannot escape. Suppose the best example is your spring motion, am I right? If particle is attached to spring, it cannot escape, am I right? From that region, it should oscillate. So spring potential was like this. I mean, I have taken random one, generalized one. So that was parabolic, isn't it? So that was the best example. So we call that one as classical bound state. Look at here. Now, so quantum mechanical, look at here. Let me take that part. I mean, harmonic oscillator. That is the best example to discuss. Half kx square. Okay. Now, if I take any state actually, let me take ground state. That is Gaussian. Look at here. Or look at here. If I take ground state, it is Gaussian. Am I right? If I take first exact state, it is like this. I think, or if I take mod psi naught square, that's also Gaussian. Mod psi 1 square. So that will be like this, isn't it? Mod psi 1 square. Look at this situation. Look at here. Any state you take in case of harmonic oscillator, this is also bound state. Am I right? If you take energy E here, classically particles should oscillate only between these two. Are you getting my point? Now, so look at the wave functions. Look at here, or mod psi square. So they are getting 0 at x equal to plus infinity as well as minus infinity, isn't it? That means again here also particle cannot escape from this region actually. Are you getting my point? Particle cannot go to infinity, or at infinity your wave function is 0, or at infinity there is no probability of finding the particle, isn't it? So this kind of potential, we call that, I mean, this will allow, we call this one as bound state. Are you getting my point? We call this one as bound state, quantum mechanical. Quantum mechanically, so this one is also called as quantum mechanical. This is classical bound state as well as quantum mechanical bound state. How to write? Quantum mechanical bound state. So later we shall generalize this situation. Okay, that is the best example. And your particle in a box is also the same example, isn't it? 0 to A, infinity, infinity here. Am I right? Whatever the energy you take, classically particles should be between 0 to A. Quantum mechanically also particles should be between 0 to A, isn't it? So that's also bound state. It was bound state. Particle cannot escape. Am I right? Outside again at plus infinity as well as minus infinity, probability is 0 because wave function is 0 here and here, isn't it? The similar thing is happening here. At x equal to plus infinity or minus infinity, probability of finding the particle is getting 0. That means particle cannot escape actually. Particle cannot escape to plus infinity or minus infinity. We call this kind of situation as bound state, quantum mechanical bound state. So these two are bound state problem. Whatever we sought, those are bound state problem, and they allow only bound state. Look at here. Are you getting my point? And they allow only bound state. Look at here. Whatever the energy you take, classically as well as quantum mechanically, your energy is, particle is bound only. Are you getting my point? Later, let me generalize that situation. So that's why when potential goes to infinity like this in both sides, is that okay? All energy levels are bound state only, classically as well as quantum mechanically. Is that clear? Particle cannot escape. Particle cannot escape. All of this bound state problem, have got normalizable solution. Look at here. These were normalizable, am I right? But for the solution you got, those were normalizable. Later, let me take scattering state solution, which are not normalizable. Is that okay? So first let me finish out this bound state problem. So this was also normalizable. Sine, so you got, I think, sine pi x by a, n pi x by a, am I right? isn't it? You got like this, isn't it? You got Gaussian here, ground state. All of these bound states are normalizable actually. They are physically realizable actually. Is that okay? You can have a particle with that state. You can have a particle in a ground state. First take that state like that. Is that okay? Let me discuss scattering state little later. But understand one point. This situation is classically as well as quantum mechanically bound state. Classically, you can say bound state because particle is bound. It cannot escape. It cannot go outside this x1 and x2. How do you interpret quantum mechanically? Quantum mechanically, you have to go to wave function. Wave function is getting 0 as x tends to plus infinity and minus infinity. That means there is no probability of finding the particle at plus infinity or minus infinity in this situation as well as in this situation, isn't it? So that's why particle cannot escape here also. So it will be little more clear after again scattering state problem. Okay, wait a second. This is one situation. Look at here. And one more thing, you should know what is the difference between these two. Classically, particle will be between only these two. Am I right? Quantum mechanically, particle can exist outside that one also. Look at here. Suppose if you take harmonic oscillator problem, isn't it? Suppose if you take this is your E naught ground state, and this is your ground state wave function or mod psi naught square. Is that okay? If this is E naught, so these two should be classical turning point, minus x naught plus x naught. Am I right? Classically, particles should exist only within this region. Suppose E naught is equal to half h bar omega. But quantum mechanically, particle which is in the ground state, look at here, your wave function or mod psi square, which is Gaussian, which is tending to 0 as x tends to plus or minus infinity. It is not 0 outside this region. It is non-zero outside this region. Suppose if I mark out these two regions, minus x naught plus x naught, is that okay? Your wave function is non-zero outside the classically allowed region also. So find the difference between classical and quantum. Is that okay? Classically, particle can never exist outside classically allowed region. So outside this region. Is that okay? Particles should exist between these two classical turning points. But quantum mechanically, you will find a non-zero probability of finding the particle outside this region also. Best example are these things, isn't it? These are getting 0 only at infinity, remember. Those wave functions are 0 only at infinity. So suppose if you mark out your classical turning point, this is classically allowed region. Look at here, you got wave function which is non-zero outside classically allowed region. That's the difference. Is that okay? That was the problem, am I right? Yesterday, last problem that I discussed. What is the probability of finding the particle outside classically allowed region in the ground state? Have you noted down what is the percentage? 0.16, 16% almost. Now let me take one more situation. Suppose my potential is like this. Is that okay? Some arbitrary potential. Is that clear? Or let me take it like this. Now we will have, look at here. Suppose energy is this one. Let me take E1. which is higher than this peak. Okay, it is going to infinity in this side. It is going to 0 in this side. Let me take that situation. Is that okay? Now look at here. If you give this much energy, is that okay? Now it is just like you can shoot the particle from this side with this much energy. Then what would happen here is particle can go up to this point. I'll call it as x0, and it can return back. It cannot go outside, beyond that x0. Why? Beyond that x0, again, your potential energy is higher than total energy. Kinetic energy is negative. Now, what is the classically allowed region? Before x0. Is that okay? So, all of these regions are classically allowed region. You can shoot the particle with energy E1. Then what would happen is, particle go up to this one. At this point, exactly at this point, your total energy is equal to potential energy. If total energy is equal to potential energy, kinetic energy is 0. Particle will stop over there. Just like here in your extreme position, particle will stop, isn't it? Where your potential energy is equal to total energy. Similar thing will happen. Particle will stop and it will go back actually. We call this one as classical scattering state, as well as quantum mechanically also, this is also scattering state. Is that okay? This is classical. Scattering means particle can escape. Am I right? Particle can go back to infinity here. It's not bound. So that's why we call this one as classical scattering state, as well as quantum mechanical scattering state. Quantum mechanically also, particle can escape. Let me discuss later. Now look at here, we have one more situation. Now this is not bound state. Look at here, particle cannot go beyond x0, okay? That doesn't make it as bound state. Particle is free to move in this side, isn't it? It can escape in this side. Later we shall find, if you solve Schrodinger equation, probability of finding the particle at infinity will be non-zero. Okay, you will get, I think, e power I kx kind of wave function, which is not normalizable actually. Okay, which is not normalizable. Let me see that one. Okay, let us discuss that one tomorrow. But particle can escape in this side, am I right? Now, so that's why that makes it a scattering state. Scattering state means particle can escape in any region. Is that okay? If I take this kind of situation, suppose, if I have potential like this, is that okay? Now let me take two energy, E1, another energy, E2. Is that okay? Now look at here, if you shoot the particle with this energy, particle will never stop here. Are you getting my point? So always particle, kinetic energy will be positive. Look at here, am I right? Whatever the point you take, suppose if you take this point, your potential energy is lower than the total energy. Are you getting my point? This gap between total energy and potential energy, that is your kinetic energy. E minus V. This gap itself is kinetic energy. Particle can never stop here, or if you shoot the particle from here, actually particle will slow down. This gap is kinetic energy, am I right? Particle will slow down, and again kinetic energy is increasing. This gap is kinetic energy, just think like that. It will slow down and again it will speed up, and it will escape. This is purely scattering state. Suppose if you shoot the particle with energy E2 from this side, suppose, then what would happen? Particle will come up to this point. Up to this point, isn't it? Suppose let me take x0, and again it will reflect back. It will go back to infinity. Or if you shoot the particle from this side, suppose, particle will come up to this point, and again it will reflect back. Particle can never exist classically. Particle can never exist in this region if you shoot the particle with this energy. So classically, it is scattering state again. Scattering state means particle will escape. Whatever the energy you take, particle will escape in any one of the region. Is that okay? Classically, classical scattering state. But quantum mechanical also, this is scattering state. Is that okay? Quantum mechanical scattering state. Again, wait a second. In both of these cases, we shall find out what is the difference between classical and quantum mechanical, okay? Classically, suppose if you shoot the particle with this energy to this potential, particle can never exist here, am I right? Classically. It cannot go here, isn't it? It should reflect back. It should exist only in this region. But quantum mechanically, when you solve, you will get finite probability of finding the particle in this region also. Is that okay? You will get finite probability. Are you getting my point? That is the situation. Quantum mechanically, particle will exist or particle will have finite probability in the classically forbidden region also. This is a classically forbidden region, am I right? Where kinetic energy is negative in this region. But particle have got finite probability in this region also. The same thing will happen. Look at here. If you shoot the particle with this energy, particle should not exist in this region, am I right? In this region, your potential energy is higher than the total energy. Kinetic energy is negative. This is classically forbidden region. This is classically allowed region. This is classically allowed region. But if you shoot the particle classically, so particle should not cross this barrier. We call this one as barrier now. If energy is less than this peak, E2 energy, this is a kind of barrier now. Classically, if you shoot the particle will come up to this point and it will go back. But quantum mechanically, particle can exist here, particle can transmit here. We call that as tunneling. Is that okay? We call the phenomenon as tunneling, which doesn't have any classical counterpart. Is that okay? Which doesn't have any classical explanation. Quantum, so find the difference. Both are called as scattering state. But the difference is, classically, if you shoot the particle with energy E2, look at here, it should reflect back. If you shoot in this side, it should reflect back. It should not enter in this region. But quantum mechanically, if you shoot the particle with energy E2, particle can exist here, particle can tunnel this one. That's the difference. But both are called as scattering state. Is it clear? And that will happen actually in case of microscopic level. This phenomenon will happen in case of microscopic level. Even though barrier is higher than your energy, total energy, particle will tunnel actually. We shall work it out later. Usually, if potential is positive, that will be repulsive. Suppose if you take the best example is Rutherford scattering process, isn't it? Your potential is positive, right? It's a repulsive. It's a kind of barrier. Suppose if you take, two type of potential: repulsive potential, attractive potential. Repulsive potential will be usually positive. Okay, usually it's a kind of repulsive barrier, whatever you are talking about. Okay, we shall work out some physical example later. Is that okay? Yeah. Now look at here. Yeah, speak up. No, classically you should not treat it as a wave. It's a particle. You are talking about particle. Is that okay? Quantum mechanically you can usually, but still we are forgetting that one also. Is that okay? We are working out what you call Schrodinger equation. Are you getting my point? We will not talk about standing wave also. We will talk about wave function. That's it. Is it clear? Classically it's a particle, purely particle. Quantum mechanically we don't know what it is. Okay? Wait a second. Now again I will come to this situation. Energy E1, am I right? Suppose if I take E2 energy. And classically, let me first discuss classically. Suppose if you keep the particle somewhere here, x1, x2, between x1 and x2. Particle cannot escape, am I right? It's a kind of bound motion. Are you getting my point? It's a kind of bound motion here. Are you getting my point? Look at here, particle cannot exist here where potential energy is greater than total energy. It cannot go here. It will be oscillating between these two. It's almost like parabolic, am I right? Any potential about minima, it's almost parabolic, isn't it? Now look at here, this region is classical bound state. Is that okay? This region is classical bound state. But quantum mechanically, this is not bound state. Quantum mechanically, particle can escape. Quantum mechanically, particle can tunnel and it can come into this region. If you keep the particle here, it can tunnel and it can come in this region. The best example is that alpha decay. Is that okay? Best example is alpha decay. Is that okay? Particle is actually, classically, it should be bound within the nucleus, but it will tunnel outside this one. Is that okay? We call this one as classical bound state, but quantum scattering state. Look at here. Suppose if you shoot the particle from this side with energy E2, it will come here and it will go back. Then it is scattering state. I'm talking about the situation where you keep the particle in this region. Then classically, it will not escape at all. It cannot exist here, it cannot go here, isn't it? Classically, it is bound state. But quantum mechanically, that's a scattering state. Particle, even if you keep the particle in this region, so there is a finite probability of finding the particle here as well as here. It can tunnel again. Is that okay? This is the best example of classical bound state, but quantum scattering state. Is that clear? So let me not talk about this region at all. I'll talk about only this region. Is it clear? Speak out. Your best example is your, what is that? Alpha scattering, where inside the nucleus, alpha particle will experience attractive potential. Am I right? Your nucleons will attract with each other. Am I right? When it just comes out of that one, it will experience repulsive potential because alpha particle is repelled by the nucleus. Are you getting my point? So again, if this is the radius of the nucleus, is that okay? Suppose this is 0. If this is the radius of the nucleus, within that region, you are talking about what kind of potential it is. Am I right? Within this region, your potential is negative. This is 0, suppose. Okay, V of R. Let me take V of R. Okay, this R0 is radius of the nucleus. Okay, within the region of nucleus, alpha particle will experience attractive potential. So when it comes out of that one, it will experience repulsive potential, and that is 1 by R potential. Am I right? Coulombic potential. Particle will be inside with energy which is less than height of this barrier. Is that okay? Energy of the alpha particle, it will be less than height of the barrier, but still it will come out. Is that okay? Classically, it should be bound state. Am I right? It should not escape here. Quantum mechanically, there's a kind of scattering state. We shall work it out later. Is that okay? I think explanation of alpha scattering, not alpha scattering, I'm talking about alpha decay. What did I say? Alpha decay? I said alpha decay, am I right? Yeah. Explanation of alpha decay, I mean, and finding the link between that energy and half-life and all. So that was the first triumph of quantum mechanics actually. That we shall work it out in, I think, WKB method, am I right? In WKB, you will find the method of working out this problem. Look at here. Classical bound state, quantum scattering state. Now, what is the situation where quantum mechanically only bound state is possible? Is that okay? Are you getting my point? Or what is the situation where quantum mechanically both scattering state and bound state is possible? Now look at here. Now let me take this situation. You have to read Jatili, okay, after this class. Jatili, this is 4th chapter, okay, one-dimensional problems. Let me take this situation. My potential is like this, okay. So this is V1, this is V2. Is that okay? Now, suppose if my energy is E1 here, okay, let me take energy E1. So, classically, obviously, it is bound state, am I right? Particles should be within this region. Quantum mechanical also, particle is bound state. If energy is, look at here. Now, what is the difference between this one and this one? Are you getting my point? I said, quantum mechanically, this is a bound state. But if this is quantum mechanically, it's not bound state. What is the difference? No, look at here. So here also same situation. Look at here. This energy E2, whatever I have drawn, isn't it? What is the difference? No, so just forget about this one. This can be anything. But look at here. In this situation, this potential is going to V1 as you go to minus infinity. Potential is going to V2 as you go to plus infinity. Are you getting my point? Now, what is the difference between this situation and this situation? Classically, both are bound state. Quantum mechanically, this is bound state, this is not bound state. Yeah, it is going to infinity here, but it is not going to infinity. Yeah, that's okay. But still, we are not talking about this region. Am I right? If particle tunnels, it will tunnel in this region. Yeah. Now look at here. In this region, potential is increasing, but it is decreasing. Am I right? Decreasing below E2, below this energy, isn't it? So that's why particle can tunnel and come here. Actually, are you getting my point? Particle can tunnel and come here, and it can freely move here. But here, it will never freely move. These all are classically forbidden region. Look at here. Are you getting my point? Particle will never tunnel into this region or into this region. This throughout this region is classically forbidden. Throughout this region is classically forbidden. But look at here. Only this much region is classically forbidden. Again, this is classically allowed. Particle can tunnel, and again, it can freely move here. So that's why we call it as quantum scattering state. But here, there is no possibility of tunneling in any of the region. Isn't it? So that's why we call this one as quantum mechanical as well as classical bound state. Quantum mechanical bound state. Now let me take one more situation. Suppose my energy is E2 here. Okay, E1, quantum mechanical bound state. E2, look at here. What would happen now? Look at here. Particle can escape in this region. Look at here. Your energy is higher than the potential energy. Particle can escape here. It will have positive kinetic energy. But particle cannot escape in this region. This is classically turning point. This is classical turning point. Are you getting my point? So E2 is the quantum mechanical scattering state. Are you getting the situation? Now, how do you define quantum mechanical bound state now? I hope you got some experience. When energy is less than potential at plus infinity as well as potential at minus infinity, then it is bound. It cannot escape in any of the region. Are you getting my point? So can you just write quantum mechanical bound state? That's classically also it is bound state. Quantum mechanical bound state. When energy is less than potential at plus infinity and look at here. In this situation, energy is less than potential at plus infinity, but it is greater than potential at minus infinity. That's why it can escape in this region. Clear? when energy is less than potential at plus infinity and potential at minus infinity, it is quantum mechanical bound state, and not or. Okay, energy should be less than potential at plus infinity as well as potential at minus infinity. Is that clear? Now, how do you define quantum mechanical scattering state now? Be careful. Small English grammar is involved. And. Is that okay? And is very important. If you write R, that means in any one of the region, energy is greater and it can escape. Be careful. Is that okay? If energy is greater than potential at plus infinity or potential at minus infinity. The situation was the potential that I had drawn in that place. Isn't it? Look at here. If this is the energy is less than potential at plus infinity. Potential at plus infinity is going to infinity. But energy is greater than potential at minus infinity. Isn't it? Look at here. Or in any one of the region, if energy is greater than potential at plus infinity or potential at minus infinity, in any one of the, look at here. In this situation, energy is greater than potential at minus infinity. Isn't it? But it is less than potential at plus infinity. If energy is greater than potential at plus infinity or potential at minus infinity, it's quantum scattering state. And this was the question actually. And or I can confuse that one, isn't it? Here, in this region, it is negative. Kinetic energy is negative. No, I mean, kinetic energy, look at here. In this region, you are, suppose if you take this point, particle exists at this point. Look at here. Trace this point. At this point, your energy, total energy, is less than the potential energy. That's why kinetic energy is negative. No, here you will not talk about kinetic energy at all. Because here it is not freely moving particle at all. Even quantum mechanical. Let me discuss later. Is that okay? In classically forbidden region, particle cannot freely move. Okay, we shall discuss one more parameter, current density. Current density will be 0 actually in this kind of region. Is that okay? Only in this region you can talk about kinetic energy. So this is the energy, this is the potential energy difference. Is that okay? Let me work out in classical mechanics. So in this way, this is the best way to plot your phase space diagram actually. Is that okay? Let me work it out later. In classically forbidden region, don't talk about kinetic energy. And it is not freely moving particle at all. You will find particle, you will find probability of getting the particle, but particle cannot freely move. Is that okay? Let me talk about that one. What is the wave function which represents freely moving particle, free particle situation? Okay. Now, I explained this one because I want to finish out this bound state problems, all bound state problem. Then I'll go for scattering state problem, then mixed problem, mixed state. I mean, bound state as well as scattering state. Okay. Let me finish out my discussion on bound state problem so that you can solve many questions in that MCQ. So particle in a box, whatever we worked out, 0 to A, am I right? Potential is infinity here, Look at here. Whatever the energy you take, classically as well as quantum mechanically, that's the bound state. I repeat my point. Particle is within this region. Particle cannot escape, isn't it? I repeat my point. Whatever the energy you take, the potential at plus infinity is infinity. Potential at minus infinity is infinity. Energy is less than potential at plus infinity as well as potential at minus infinity. Am I right? This was bound state problem. Is that okay? Harmonic oscillator. Energy you take. Energy is less than, always, whatever the energy level you take. Energy is less than potential at plus infinity. What is potential at plus infinity? Infinity. When you x goes to plus infinity, potential is going to infinity. Am I right? As well as potential at minus infinity. Bound state. Is that okay? So all of this bound state have got normalizable solution. Okay. Later we shall find a scattering state will not have normalizable solution. Again, we need some other tool to handle that one actually. Wait a second. Is it clear? Both examples are, both problem, whatever we worked out, both are bound state problem. Look at here. They have infinitely many bound state. Am I right? State means wave function. State means one of the state we are talking about. Am I right? Look at here. You have written psi n is equal to root of 2 by a sine n pi x by a, and En is equal to, speak out, n square pi square h bar square by 2ma square. So here your wave functions are something, your Hermite polynomial into Gaussian, isn't it? And your energies are n plus half h bar omega. Here n will start from 1, 2, 3. Here n will start from 0, 1, 2. Am I right? Look at here. It will never end. They have infinitely many bound states. We say like that. Both of these problems, they are hypothetical problem because your potential cannot be infinity in the real situation, or you can't trap the particle so that particle can never go outside, isn't it? Or you can't make potential infinity in your practical situation. Both are hypothetical one, but the situation is you have infinitely many bound states. Look at it. How many states you have? How many stationary states you have? Infinitely many. N equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on, isn't it? I get my point. Same situation. You have infinitely many bound states here. Is that okay? Now, I'll work out one more problem which is very important. This is also a hypothetical problem, not completely practical, but we can approximate, isn't it? In a practical situation, we can approximate and we can apply this result. So that is Dirac function well, the delta function well. So this will give some more idea, some more nature actually. First, before getting into this one, I better to discuss some property of Dirac delta. Some property of Dirac delta. Later, we shall discuss much more property, okay? Dirac delta, we call that one as Dirac delta function, okay? We call that one as Dirac delta function. But this is not a well-behaved function, okay? Even though it is called as function, you better to call it as a distribution. Look at here. You had your Gaussian e power minus x square by a square 1 by a root pi, okay? Let me take this curve. I hope you know that. That's Gaussian, am I right? This curve is Gaussian, isn't it? If you just draw that one, you will get like this. Look at here. If suppose x square coefficient, what is x square coefficient here? 1 by a square. If that coefficient is too high, what would happen? Have you plotted that one? Just plot this one, e power minus x square, e power minus 10x square, e power minus 100x square. Just plot these things. It will be narrower, am I right? It will be narrower. Look at here. If you take this function, if you put limit a tends to 0, if you put limit a tends to 0, actually this function have got area under the curve 1 actually. You can check it out. That's why this factor, he put this factor, okay? Now look at here. Dirac delta is defined as limit a tends to 0. If a is tending to 0, 1 by 0, it is tending to very high quantity. Are you getting my point? 1 by a root phi e power minus 1 by a square into x square. Why I discussed this one? Because Dirac delta is even function later. I don't have to prove now, isn't it? Since Dirac delta is limiting of that Gaussian, since Gaussian is even function, Dirac delta is even function. Are you getting my point? You are tending a to 0, then what would happen? Almost e power minus infinity into x square. Am I right? But if a is 0, look at here, this is increasing. Are you getting my point? This part, suppose if you have this kind of function, look at here, 1 by a root phi is this height. When x equal to 0, e power 0, 1. Am I right? This is the height. This part is the height actually. Isn't it? Now, when you make a tends to 0, this height will be infinity. Is that okay? Actually, Dirac delta should be defined like this. It's a limiting of your Gaussian. That's why sometimes it is called as distribution. Is that okay? It is helpful in physics. That's why we are taking, even though it is not well-behaved function. Are you getting my point? Now look at here. So, two things that you have to remember here. One is, Dirac delta should be defined as, just keep it aside, okay? It's not needed. Later it's not needed. It is needed only to understand that it is even function. Because this is even function. And when you make it narrower and very high, that becomes Dirac delta. That's what you have to understand. Is it clear? But actual Dirac delta, again, this is just extra thing. It is defined as, it is equal to infinity when x equal to 0. Isn't it? When x equal to 0, e power 0, 1 by 0, infinity. Am I right? It's equal to 0 when x is not equal to 0. Is that okay? So that's why symbolically, look at here, the same thing. You just plot that one. You just plot e power minus x square, e power minus 100x square, e power minus 1000 x square. Just plot that one. You will understand. It will be narrower and make it high, as high as possible. Okay. That's why symbolically we write Dirac delta function like this. We can't go up to infinity. Are you getting my point? Symbolically we draw like this. Is that okay? And it should be one function. Are you getting my point? Delta of minus x is equal to delta x. One more thing. Delta of x dx. If you integrate, we should get 1. Area under the curve should be 1. These are the properties that you have to remember. Wait a second. It is 0 outside. Why I have to integrate minus infinity to plus infinity? Am I right? Again, just remember, it's a limiting value of Gaussian. Gaussian distribution, it extends to infinity. Not x tends to, it extends to infinity. Again. Are you getting my point? That's why you have to integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity. Remember, this is a limiting of Gaussian. That's why you have to integrate minus infinity to plus infinity, and you have to say area under the Dirac delta is equal to 1. Is that clear? and it will possess one more property. Again, yeah, this is the Dirac delta which is peak at origin, am I right? Or x equal to 0. So we can define the delta of x minus a also. It's equal to infinity when x equal to a, it's equal to 0. Again, here also. Suppose if you want to plot this one, suppose it is x equal to a here. Is that okay? It should be spike here. Are you getting my point? If you want to plot delta of x minus a, all of these things are defined according to convenience. Actually, you don't have any real valued function which touches infinity, am I right? It's not well behaved actually. Now look at here. It will possess some property, Dirac delta function, it will possess some property. Suppose if you have f of x, if you multiply f of x by delta of x, is that okay? If you multiply f of x by delta of x, that is equal to f of 0 into delta of x. Suppose if you have f of x multiplied by delta of x minus a, that is equal to, I better write delta of x minus 0 later. It is spike at 0, isn't it? F of x into delta of x minus a, that's equal to f of a into delta of x minus a. Again, this is also for convenience. Okay, this property also defined for convenience. Wait a second. So because of this property, if you have integral f of x into delta of x dx, is that okay? Then according to that property, what should happen? F of 0 into delta of x dx, am I right? Don't write f of 0, 0, okay? It's an arbitrary function. Are you getting my point? But f of 0 is constant. You can take it outside. F of 0 minus infinity to plus infinity, delta of x dx. What is this one? F of 0. Similarly, minus infinity to plus infinity, f of x into delta of x minus a dx. Okay? What is this one? Can you guess? It will make it as f of a into delta of x minus a. According to this property, f of a comes outside. Again 1, am I right? That becomes f of a. Are you getting my point? You can remember like this. Dirac delta will choose the function at the point where it is peak. Where it is peak at a. It will choose the function at that point. Sometimes we say Dirac delta lives inside the integral, because outside the integral it's not well behaved actually. Is that okay? Now look at here. Let me modify this one, and you can solve some problem on Dirac delta, some simple problem. Where he mentioned? Yeah, he mentioned some problem here. Suppose, look at here, f of x into delta of x minus a dx, okay? Dirac delta is peak at x equal to a. Now, let me integrate from x1 to x2. It need not be minus infinity to plus infinity actually. Are you getting my point? That integral need not be minus infinity to plus infinity. Look at here. So this is equal to, this integral is equal to f of a if a is between x1 and x2. Is that okay? It's equal to 0 otherwise. Look at here. Delta of x minus a, it is spike at x equal to a. Am I right? Delta of x minus a, it is spike at x equal to a. Clear? Now, if you are integrating between x1 and x2, where x1 and x2 covers a, if a is between x1 and x2, I have written like that, x1 here, x2 here, then Dirac delta will choose the function at that point. Suppose your x1 and x2 were outside this point, suppose x1 here, x2 here, you are integrating from here to here, but Dirac delta is spike here, then that is 0, because Dirac delta is 0 in this region. Are you getting my point? Otherwise means a is outside x1 and x2, x1 to x2. Are you getting the point? If your integral covers the region where Dirac delta is spike, then Dirac delta will choose the function at that point. If your region of integral is outside the point where Dirac delta is spike, outside the point where Dirac delta is spike, it is 0. Dirac delta is 0. Am I right? Value is 0. That's why your integral is 0. Simple. Are you getting my point? If it is spike here, if you are integrating x1 and x2 somewhere, I mean x1 to x2 somewhere here of that function, obviously Dirac delta is 0 in this region. Integral is 0. Is that okay? If your integration region that covers a, x equal to a, where it is spike, then only it will choose the function at that point. Remember this point and try to solve according to this idea. Try to solve problem number 2.25. (2.25) means he has given this kind of thing, minus 3 to plus 1, x cube minus 3x square plus 2x minus 1 into delta of x plus 2 dx, like that. Okay, this kind of problem, just note it down so that you can locate in your addition. This kind of problem, is that okay? Delta of x plus 2 means x minus of minus 2. Is that okay? It is spike at minus 2. Is that okay? Now you have to check out whether your integral range, whether it covers x equal to minus 2 or not. It covers, isn't it? Minus 2 is between minus 3 to plus 1. So then it will choose the function at that point. Is that okay? Just do this problem, this set of problems. Later we shall spend some time on the Dirac delta, okay? And there are direct questions on Dirac delta itself. Over. Now let me quickly derive something here. I mean, get into one problem, bone street problem. And have a note on this problem also, okay? 2.26. Problem number 2.26. Dirac delta will possess this kind of property. Delta of c into x, that's equal to 1 by mod c into delta of x. Is it clear? And one more thing is, it is even function. Delta of minus x is, don't forget. I mean, this kind of property, he told you to prove that one, but you can just have a note on that and you don't have to prove. Is that okay? Let me discuss this Dirac delta whenever it is needed again. Now let me proceed to Dirac function well problem. Look at here. If your potential is minus alpha into delta of x, alpha is positive. Is that okay? Alpha is positive. How do you plot this one? Alpha is positive. How do you plot this one? You should plot like this, am I right? Because Dirac delta will go to infinity, one more negative sign, that becomes minus infinity. Are you getting my point? Delta of x at x equal to 0, it should go to plus infinity. You have one more negative sign with positive quantity. It should be negative infinity. You have to plot like this. We call that one as the delta function well. It's also hypothetical, isn't it? We will never get this kind of situation actually. But we can approximate, okay? We can approximate some physical situation to this potential. We can learn a lot of things here. You have two choices. One is your energy can be less than 0. Look at here. What is the minimum value of the potential? Minimum value of the potential. Minus infinity. Isn't it? So energy can be less than 0 then. Am I right? Energy should exceed minimum value of the potential. What is the minimum value of the potential? Infinity. Is that okay? Minus infinity. Are you getting my point? That's why energy can be less than 0. Energy can be greater than 0 also. If energy is less than 0, look at here, this is the situation where energy is less than potential at, what is potential at plus infinity? What is potential at plus infinity? 0. What is potential at minus infinity? 0. Am I right? So when energy is less than 0, that means energy is less than potential at plus infinity as well as potential at minus infinity. This is the bound state. When energy is greater than 0, so then energy is greater than potential at plus infinity as well as potential at minus infinity. It is a scattering state. Is that okay? I am trying to work out this one again. Let me finish out that bound state problem. Is that okay? Energy less than 0. Whatever the energy which is less than 0, that is bound state. Suppose if you take it like this. Isn't it? That's also energy less than 0. Look at here, that energy is less than potential at plus infinity, energy less than potential at minus infinity. Bound state, okay? Any negative energy state, that is bound state. Is that okay? Now let me take the situation of bound state or energy which is less than 0. Clear? Now one more thing you have to remember here. What is the range of Dirac delta? What is the range of this potential? It is minus infinity to plus infinity. Is that because Dirac delta was a distribution, remember. Is it clear? So that's why the range of this potential, just like your harmonic oscillator, it is infinity actually. So even though outside it is 0, you have to take range of this problem. It is minus infinity to plus infinity. Whatever the integral you work out, you have to integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay? I'll get here. Now if I write Schrodinger equation, minus, what is V of x? Alpha is equal to E into psi, am I right? Is equal to E into psi. Now let me take x less than 0. Yeah, so again he's asking what is the edition of the book. Okay, this is red color book, second edition red color book. But whenever I quote the problem, I'll tell you what is the problem. Okay, some point in the problem, so that you can you can locate in your edition. Are you getting my point? So I told that the Dirac delta problem, and I told what is the first problem. Okay, so that you can locate in your book. Because we have many addition, many confusions here, isn't it? Yeah, look at it. When x is less than 0, isn't it? Potential is 0, isn't it? You can write your Schrodinger equation like this: d square psi by dx square is equal to E into psi. This part is 0. Can you solve this one? Minus 2m E by h bar square into psi. Check it out. D square psi by dx square plus 2m E by h bar square psi equal to 0. Wait a second. E is negative. Don't forget. We are taking the situation where E is negative. So that's why what I do here is I'll keep this negative sign. I'll keep it like this. Is that okay? So that this total quantity in this bracket that is positive. E is negative, one more negative, that is positive. Is that okay? And I am going to write this whole thing as minus 2me by h bar square. I am going to write this one as some kappa square. Kappa symbol, not k, kappa. Square of that quantity should be positive. This is positive. E is negative. Is that okay? And your kappa is equal to root of minus 2me divided by h bar. Over. Now I can write that equation as d square psi by dx square minus kappa square psi is equal to 0. I mean, this is for convenience of solving differential equation. The definition of kappa square and all. Is that okay? Now, if you solve this one, what is this one? D square minus kappa square psi equal to 0. Auxiliary equation is d square minus kappa square is equal to 0. D is equal to plus or minus kappa. Isn't it? What is your solution? Quickly. A e raised to kappa x. No I. There is no I. D square minus kappa square equal to 0. Kappa goes here, plus or minus kappa. Is that okay? Plus b e power minus kappa x. Now wait a second. Look at the solution. This is for x is less than 0, am I right? For x is less than 0, when x is less than 0 is the region where x equal to minus infinity also, am I right? X is less than 0 is the region where x is minus infinity also. When x tends to minus infinity, look at here, this is tending to 0, but this is tending to infinity. We are having bound state. Particle cannot escape here. Look at here. The situation physically, particle should be bound somewhere here. They should not escape here. So our wave function should go 0 when you go to minus infinity, and our wave function should go 0 when you go to plus infinity. Are you getting my point? The situation of bound state, So that's why when x tends to minus infinity, our wave function should tend to 0. This is the requirement. So, but this is not making it 0, am I right? E power minus of minus infinity, it is e power plus infinity. So that's why we choose b equal to 0. Is that okay? That's only physically acceptable. Are you getting my point? When x tends to infinity, psi should goes to 0. This requirement gives we have to choose b equal to 0. It's a kind of boundary condition, isn't it? A boundary condition in your differential equation, am I right? Wave function should go 0 when x tends to minus infinity. Are you getting me? That's a kind of boundary condition. So that will give b should be 0. Is that okay? Now in this region, your wave function when x less than 0, that should be equal to some a e power kappa x. Is that okay? Let me keep it here. If b equal to 0, then this part is 0, only this part remains. Am I right? Are you getting my point? That is the solution. That's the solution. Quickly. If I take x greater than 0, same thing will happen. When x greater than 0, again v of x is 0, same differential equation. Same thing will happen. Is that okay? So, but look at here, when you solve that one, earlier I have written a and b as a coefficient, am I right? Now I have to write something else, c e power kappa x plus d e power minus kappa x, because I don't know what are those constants. Are you getting my point? I should not write again a and b here. I have taken those constants earlier. I don't know whether those are equal or not. That's why let me take some other constant. But solution is exactly same. Look at here, x greater than 0. Now look at here. For the region x greater than 0, that covers x tends to infinity, plus infinity. Am I right? As x tends to plus infinity, again your wave function should go 0. Why? Should not escape here, isn't it? So wave function should go 0. This implies, which one you choose 0? As x tends to plus infinity, this is making it infinity. But this is making it 0. This is okay. You have to choose c equal to 0. Is that okay? So that's why wave function in this region, x greater than 0. What is this one? Some d e power minus kappa x. Again, we haven't talked about x equal to 0 at all. Okay? That's quite difficult. We shall do that one. Over? Now look at here. Now you have to take one theorem here. Again, I have written wave function here itself, okay? X less than 0, x greater than 0, okay? Possible solution. I have written solution here. Now you have to take 2 points here. He quoted that one in a box actually. Wave function should be always continuous. It's always continuous. Because mod psi square will represent probability. It should not have any sudden change actually. The wave function should be always continuous, first point. So second point is, look at it, this is very important. d psi by dx is continuous except at the point where potential touches infinity. At the point where potential is infinity. d psi by dx is also continuous if potential is finite. D psi by dx is discontinuous at the point where potential is infinity. We had the situation where potential is infinity. What was the situation? Earlier problem. Particle in a box, am I right? Potential was touching infinity. We shall check it out. Now look at here. It happened already. We haven't observed. But here now we have to quote this one. Look at here. Infinity, infinity here. Let me take ground state. What is the ground state? What is the ground state? Like this. Root of 2 by a sine pi x by a. Is that okay? Let me take any one state you can take. Now wave function is continuous. Am I right? Wave function is 0 here. It is starting from 0 here. Am I right? It was continuous. That was the requirement and that was the boundary condition we put to solve this one. Am I right? We put wave function at this point 0, wave function at this point 0. Then we got the solution actually. We haven't observed second point actually. Look at here. So d psi by dx. What is this one? Quickly. Pi by a cos pi x by a. D psi by dx at x equal to 0. Or this is d psi by dx. Am I right? That is cosine function. At x equal to 0, it is non-zero. Am I right? Am I right? So can I say x is 0 plus here because this is defined after 0. Are you getting my point? Look at here. Slope or derivative, it is non-zero in this side. In this side, wave function itself is 0. Derivative should be also 0. Are you getting my point? Or if you plot this derivative, what would happen? Yeah, this is your psi 1, okay? I need d psi 1 by dx. How do you plot the derivative? D psi 1 by dx. How do you plot this one? This slope is 1, am I right? Let me approximately take like this. Slope is 0 here. Slope is negative here. It will be like this. Just plot this one later. How I plotted this one? Slope is positive. Slope is 0. Slope is negative. Are you getting my point? That's how I plotted. Slope is nothing but first derivative. Am I right? Now look at here. Here wave function is 0. Am I right? Here d psi 1 by dx. That's also 0. 0 here. Suddenly high here. Are you getting my point? This was the point where your potential was infinity. Your first derivative was discontinuous. Is that okay? First derivative is discontinuous where the potential touches infinity. And you can observe the same thing here, am I right? Derivative is 0 here, suddenly some negative value here, discontinuity. Because at this point also, at A also, your potential was infinity. Observe that fact. That happened actually already. Can't talk about kinetic energy. One thing is it is hypothetical potential, okay? No, obviously. We take a Bohr atom model, isn't it? We put energy negative and negative sign we account for it is bound. You have to supply energy to make it free. The same situation. kinetic energy exists in case of Bohr atom model also, am I right? Kinetic energy exists actually, but total energy is negative. Potential energy is higher than the potential energy is more negative than kinetic energy, then total energy can be negative. That was the situation in Bohr atom model, isn't it? Kinetic energy cannot be negative. We will not talk about that one, okay? Last, energy and wave function, that's all. Yeah. Point out these two. He put that one in box. See the book. Now look at here. First one. Psi should be always continuous. Wave function at x less than 0 is this one. Wave function at x greater than 0 is this one. Wave function at x equal to 0. They should match, am I right? Are you getting my point? They should match. That's why D should be equal to A. Or limit psi of x, x greater than 0, x tending to 0. That should be equal to limit psi of x, x less than 0, x tending to 0. Can I say like this? Continuity of the wave function at x equal to 0. One you can call it one as left hand limit or other as right hand limit also. Isn't it? X greater than 0, x greater than 0, x tending to 0, you will get d e power 0. X tending to 0, you will get d, you will get a. X less than 0, its function is this one. Limit x tends to 0, e power 0, that's equal to a. D equal to a. Okay, continuity of psi requires these two coefficients should be same. Is it clear? Now we can write psi of x d equal to a. That's why e power kappa x when x is less than 0, a e power minus kappa x when x is greater than 0. So this is our last result. It's not over, okay? It's not over. We haven't achieved anything yet. What is at x equal to 0? Is equal to a again, isn't it? Are you getting it? That's how we have taken. Wait a second. Can I say x less than or equal to 0? Greater than or equal to 0? Because it should be continuous, remember. At x equal to 0, it should be some constant. No, that is first part is over. Look at the second part. What is second part? First derivative is discontinuous, am I right? Now we shall find how much discontinuous first derivative is. That will lead to some more result here actually. Are you getting my point? First derivative is discontinuous at x equal to 0, where your potential is touching minus infinity, plus infinity or minus infinity. Is that okay? So your first derivative should be, can you plot that one? First plot x greater than 0, psi of minus x equal to psi of x. Look at here. When you change x to minus x, you will get this one. It's a even function. If you plot this one, look at here. First plot this one, a e power minus kx. When x equal to 0, it is a. Am I right? It is exponentially decaying. And just take mirror image. Is that okay? Now observe that one. Your slope will be some positive value here. It's a spike, am I right? I told very earlier, whenever you have a spike, you will have first derivative discontinuous. Look at here, if you take slope here, slope is first derivative, you got some positive value here. If you take slope here, you got some negative value here. Is it okay? That has derivative discontinuity. Is it okay? Now look at here. We shall find how much discontinuous first derivative is, and that will lead to energy value actually. We shall see that. How to find that derivative discontinuity? Now we have to go for Schrodinger equation again. minus h bar square by 2m d square psi by dx square minus alpha delta of x psi of x is equal to E into psi. Can I write like this? You can normalize this one, okay? Now you can normalize this one. No, wait a second. Wait one second. I have written my function as a e power kappa x for x less than 0, a e power minus kappa x for x greater than 0. Am I right? Combiningly, we can write like this: a e power minus kappa mod x. What is the mod x definition? When x is less than 0, mod x is minus x, so that you will get this one. When x is greater than 0, mod x equal to x, so that you will get second one. Are you getting my point? Combiningly, you can write like this, where x is ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity here. You don't have to write like this. Is that okay? You can write your wave function like this. Now try to normalize this one later. That is even function, okay? Try to normalize that. Now let me take Schrodinger equation. Quickly, some more mathematical step. It's almost over. Minus h bar square by 2m d square psi by you have second derivative in the Schrodinger equation. Now the idea is to integrate this one. You have second derivative. When you integrate, you will get first derivative. And when you substitute the limit, you will get difference of first derivative. Wait a second. You are finding the discontinuity of first derivative at x equal to 0. Am I right? At x equal to 0, where potential is infinity, at that point you are trying to find the discontinuity. Am I right? So that's why the idea is to integrate the Schrodinger equation between minus epsilon to plus epsilon. Or let me write in one more step. D square psi by dx square check this out. I mean symmetrically about x equal to 0. Is that okay? Later we'll put epsilon tends to 0. Is that clear? Later we'll put epsilon tends to 0. Look at here. Now this part becomes minus h bar square by 2m. Integration of second derivative is first derivative. Am I right? D psi by dx running from minus epsilon to plus epsilon. What is this one? Dirac delta will choose the function at 0. Am I right? Yeah, speak out. Minus alpha into psi of 0. Let me keep this one as it is. What is this one? This is area under this curve. Am I right? Area under wave function. Am I right? Now let me write like this: h bar square by 2m d psi by dx at plus psi minus d psi by dx at minus epsilon, am I right? Minus alpha psi of 0 is equal to E into this integral. Okay. What do you mean by discontinuity? Amount of discontinuity. Suppose you have one function here, that function is 0 here, function is some value here, f naught here, okay? I say at x naught the function is discontinuous, isn't it? Now how do you find extent of discontinuity? This height is the extent of discontinuity, am I right? Now the similar thing we are trying to find here. To find that amount of discontinuity, what you have to do here is, you have to take f of x, limit x tends to x naught minus, is that okay? Minus limit x tends to x naught plus f of x. You have to take this difference. Wait a second. Let me take other example. This is very trivial. Let me take it like this. Yeah, let me take some function like this. Okay. Its value is f1 here, its value is f2 here. Now f2 minus f1 is extent of discontinuity, isn't it? So, now how do you find this difference? You have to take limit f of x, x tends to x naught minus. When x tends to x naught minus means you are tending to x naught from this side, am I right? From this side, when you're tending to x naught, your value is tending to f2 minus limit x tends to x naught plus. When you tend x naught plus, look at here, what is happening? Your value of the function is tending to f1, am I right? F of x. This will give actually f2 minus f1. Are you getting my point? You have to take limit towards that point. Are you getting my point? Of left hand side as well as right hand side of the function. I mean ulta. Are you talking about ulta? Yeah, higher one. This one minus this one. Yeah, whatever. I need this difference. Is that okay? So that's why, look at here. Here you got derivative at some positive value, x greater than 0, derivative at x less than 0, am I right? At some point where x less than 0. But you have to make that one tending to 0. When you put epsilon tends to 0, this becomes limit of this derivative, where this becomes your right hand limit. When you put epsilon tends to 0, this becomes your left hand limit. So that this becomes your extent of discontinuity. Are you getting my point? When you put epsilon tends to 0, that means this is derivative just x greater than 0 but x tending to 0. This is derivative just x less than 0 but x tending to 0. Okay? This becomes extent of discontinuity at x equal to 0. Is it clear? Just see this one, okay? Just try to interpret this one. You will understand that one. When you put epsilon tends to 0 in this one, this becomes extent of discontinuity. What happens to this one? This is area under the curve, am I right? When you put epsilon tends to 0, that area under the curve is 0. So this is the area under the curve of psi of x, am I right? That area is shrinking to 0 if you tend minus epsilon plus epsilon to 0. So that's why this part becomes 0. This part as it is that okay? This becomes extent of discontinuity. Minus h bar square by 2m can I write like this? Discontinuity in psi of x, or actually I can, later let me elaborate. Minus alpha into psi of 0 is equal to 0. Later, let me elaborate this one. So that delta of d psi by dx, that is equal to minus 2m alpha by h bar square into psi naught. Why I have done this one? Because in some CSIR exam, they asked this one, okay? What is this discontinuity? Now let me elaborate this one. This is d psi by dx 0 plus minus d psi by dx 0 minus. I will write like this. Isn't it? This difference and epsilon tends to 0. 0 plus means right hand limit. 0 minus means left hand limit. So shall I write like this? That's equal to minus 2m alpha by h bar square psi of 0. Remember this factor because in exam you can't do that one actually. This is the extent of discontinuity. Clear? Now you already know the wave function at x greater than 0 as well as x less than 0. You can take derivative, you can subtract and you can equate that one to that psi of 0 so that you will get some physical quantity. Quickly, let me finish out this one. Can you normalize that wave function later? Your normalized wave function will be a root of kappa e power minus kappa mod x, okay? Later normalize that one. That normalization constant will be root kappa. Integral minus infinity to plus infinity mod psi squared dx, okay? Just check it out. Now, psi at x less than 0. What is this one? Root kappa, speak out. E power kappa x, am I right? Take derivative. Take derivative. Put limit tends to 0. Wave function less than 0, limit tends to 0, that is this one actually. Is that okay? So d psi by dx 0 minus, can I write like this? Because you have taken wave function at x less than 0 and you have taken derivative. So that is equal to root of kappa into kappa. Now, psi x greater than 0, root of kappa e power minus kappa x, am I right? X greater than 0. Mod x is minus x, okay? D psi x greater than 0 by dx, that's equal to minus root kappa e power minus kappa x, check it out, negative, isn't it? D psi by dx as 0 plus. I'm missing something. Yeah, nothing. Okay, it's correct. You can proceed. Okay. X greater than 0. That's why when you put limit x tends to 0, 0 plus right hand limit. That becomes minus kappa minus root kappa. Keep that root kappa as it is. Okay. Keep that one as it is. Later it will get cancelled. Now shall I substitute this one and this one here? What would happen? Okay, 0 plus have got positive. Yeah, that's correct, okay? Yeah, this is negative, am I right? Minus root kappa minus root kappa, am I right? That's equal to minus 2m alpha by h bar square. What is psi of 0? Root kappa. Am I right? Are you getting my point? Psi of 0 got cancelled. Negative sign also got cancelled. Kappa is equal to m alpha 2 times. 2 got cancelled. Okay. Now you got energy because kappa is related to energy. Do you remember while solving the differential equation? Minus 2me divided by h bar. Manipulate this one. Square this one. Minus 2me is equal to m square alpha square divided by h bar square. Or you can remember like this, okay? H bars, am I right? E is equal to minus h bar square kappa square by 2m. You better remember like this because we will use this one frequently later. It's just like p square by 2m, similar to p square by 2. And substitute kappa. Check it out. This is the bound state solution. Now, question is, how many wave function we got? How many wave function we got? Only one. How many energy state we got? Only one energy state. Suppose if they ask question, how many bound state possible for Dirac function well? What would you answer? Only one. Only one bound state is possible. Yeah. Find expectation x square, expectation p square and all. Okay. I think our bound state problems, one-dimensional problems are over here. What is expectation x? You have seen the wave function. What is expectation x? 0, because it is symmetrical, about 0. Am I right? Expectation x and x square you can find. How do you find expectation p? Okay, that's 0. You can use Armstrong's theorem. Bound state, stationary state, isn't it? Only one state. Yeah. How do you find expectation p square? To find expectation p square, you have to sandwich that second derivative operator between psi star and psi. Am I right? So second derivative doesn't exist. Why? First derivative is discontinuous. That is the problem that he mentioned here. 2.27. Check the uncertainty principle. Calculating expectation p square. Calculating expectation p square is tricky because derivative of psi has a step discontinuity. Do that one. Later, let me give some trick for that. Try that one. Is that okay?